Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some big news coming out from Ukraine, so we're going to talk about Volodymyr Zelenskyy and these F-16 fighter jets that have been waiting to go to Ukraine for a very long time. We've got official confirmation from Volodymyr Zelenskyy himself that the first F-16 fighter jets have officially arrived in Ukraine. Okay, so this is very big news. We now know for sure there is F-16s already in the skies flying over Ukraine. We've been seeing lots of video footage coming out from like the Odessa region showing some F-16s that were already starting to fly over their country. And those were initially unconfirmed, but now it looks like we have confirmation for sure that there are F-16s here. So this was at a ceremony that was being held. This video footage that you see here, there was two F-16s flying over an undisclosed airbase in Ukraine, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy was here. He was addressing the Ukrainian Air Force and also giving out awards, things like that. And they were just celebrating this major milestone for the Ukrainian military that's been fighting very hard to get these F-16 fighter jets. Okay, they've been trying very, very hard to get these for years now, and looks like they officially got them now. We don't know exactly how many they have. I'll show you some reports here in a little bit that shows just about how many they may have gotten already. But we know that by the end of the year, they could have 20 or more of these. And this is really all going to depend on how many pilots they have, too. Because as far as we know, they only have a handful of pilots at the moment. So I want to start going over some of this information here. But some of the things that Volodymyr Zelenskyy said at the ceremony, he mentioned that the F-16s are in Ukraine, and he said that we did it. And he also thanked some of the allies for what they were once very hesitant to provide these F-16s. He said thank you to all the partners that have been handing these over to them. Obviously, the Netherlands, Denmark, Belgium, handing over these F-16s. So let me go ahead and get right into this information here for you. This is on the BBC. It says Ukraine receives first F-16 fighter jet, says Zelenskyy. Here was him speaking with some of these F-16s in the background behind him. So I thought that was kind of cool to see that they got these now. But it says Ukraine has received its first American-made F-16 fighter jets. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has said, F-16s in Ukraine, we did it. President Zelenskyy said at a ceremony at an unnamed air base flanked by two of the planes. Ukraine's leader thanked allies for what they once were very hesitant to provide, though he added that many more were needed. The arrival of the jets marks a crucial milestone in boosting the capabilities of Ukraine's Air Force, which largely relies on old Soviet-era jets. Yeah, many of their jets are very old. And these F-16 should give them greater strike capabilities against the Russians. We'll see how effective they are. We'll see if they get shot down very easily or what's going to happen here. But there's some indication, too, that some of these F-16s may have already been on some combat missions. Most likely they already were. Who knows how long the F-16s were in Ukraine prior to the announcement. They could have been there for weeks already. Who knows, maybe even months. But for sure, as of today, we've got official confirmation they are there now. Okay, so a little bit more information here. It says more F-16s are expected and hoped in the months ahead, though Mr. Zelenskyy admitted that Ukraine does not yet have enough trained pilots to fly them all. He did not specify how many aircraft have arrived in Ukraine or whether they had all been sent by Denmark, the Netherlands, and the U.S., which he specifically thanked. Around 65 F-16s have been pledged by NATO countries since U.S. President Joe Biden first authorized willing European allies to send them to Ukraine in August 2023. So we'll see. Maybe by the end of the year, they'll have a lot more of them. But it's still very interesting that they're getting these F-16s so late in the game when we know that Volodymyr Zelenskyy right now is also pushing to try to end this war. Okay, we've been hearing that by November, he's trying to draw up a plan to basically come to some sort of agreement with Russia and try to end this war, at least start scaling it down big time. And we'll have to see how that goes too. It all depends on what happens in November. It also depends as well if Donald Trump ends up winning, or will it be Kamala Harris? It really depends on there too, because if Donald Trump wins, we know that he will end this war very quickly in Ukraine. At least he will attempt to, and we'll have to see what the outcome is with that is. But let me show you a few things here on X. I've got some extra information here for you. So this is from Vicegrad24. It says breaking. The Economist writes that Ukraine has received 10 F-16 fighter jets. Okay, so apparently The Economist, I think that's an American publication, wrote that Ukraine has 10 F-16 fighter jets, according to Vicegrad24. So maybe they have 10. Who knows? They could have 20. They could have more. But obviously, we know that regardless of however many they have, their major problem right now is they don't have too many pilots. So they obviously got to get more pilots trained, and that requires, many European allies or maybe the U.S. to step up and provide that support for Ukraine to train more pilots. But we know that the training for these F-16s is very long. It takes them months and months to get a proper training to fly these things. So that's a major problem for Ukraine right now. So here's that video that I was showing you guys. I wanted to pull this up and show it to you in full screen with the sound so you can kind of hear these F-16s whizzing by. But this is from the Ukrainian Air Force on X. It says, official statement, F-16s are in Ukraine. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video real quick. It's like 10 seconds long. Let's see. All right, so that's always very cool to see these U.S. warplanes just flying by like this. These F-16s, they're absolutely amazing, a wonderful aircraft, and I think it will help the Ukrainians out quite a bit. But we'll see exactly how much effect it really puts on the battlefield. We do know that one of the major reasons why they want these F-16s is to ward off enemy aircraft from the Russians that are trying to drop their glide bombs inside of Ukraine. That's obviously a big problem. We know that these glide bombs, there's about 1,000 of them a week that are being dropped all over the front line. So Ukraine wants to use these warplanes or these F-16s to ward off enemy fighter bombers from the Russians that are trying to drop these glide bombs into Ukraine. So hopefully that'll help them out. We'll see how that goes. But also we got another video here. This is from Tendar. It says F-16 above Odessa, Ukraine. So we had another clip here. It's very short. It's only like 4 seconds, but it shows another F-16 that was apparently flying over the Odessa region. So take a look at this as well. So no sound on this video, but as we can see, that looks like an F-16 flying right over there. So very cool to see that again. That's good that the Ukrainians got these now. So one last thing that I want to show you, this is very interesting information, okay? And then this ties into the whole Middle Eastern conflict too. So take a look at this from Alsi Kosak. Says the F-16s which have in Ukraine today are modified with high-tech Israeli-made infrared missile warning systems. Therefore, Israel should not be surprised that Russia is arming Iran with high-tech weapons in response. They play victim, but they never tell you why. So apparently, there was a picture here of some of these F-16s in Ukraine. You can see the Ukrainian logo on that F-16 right there on the wing or the backside of that aircraft. And apparently this right here is an Israeli-made infrared missile warning system. Okay, so this is made in Israel and attached to a F-16 fighter jet that comes from the West over to Ukraine and is going to be used against Russia. Okay, and I just reported this morning, I gave you guys some updates on what's going on in the Middle East with Iran preparing to attack Israel. And one of the big things that I talked about in that video was that Russia is sending just massive amounts of Ilyushin 76 transport planes into Iran, and it's nonstop, okay? There's just plane after plane after plane, cargo planes flying into Iran coming from Russia, dropping off equipment, okay? And what are they dropping off? We've heard that they're bringing them Iskander ballistic missiles. They're dropping off who knows what else, okay? Probably more types of missiles, and we know that just a month or two ago, we heard from Vladimir Putin that he was thinking about arming Western enemies with long-range precision weapons, okay? And now we're starting to see that. And then this is obviously the reason why, okay? Israel's now providing weaponry for these F-16s to be used against the Russians. So it's definitely one giant war, okay? Israel's against Russia and Iran and North Korea and all this. Same with the U.S., same with NATO, okay? This is definitely a much wider war that's being fought, and it's being fought through proxies. And it's just insane, the web. If you look at the web of how all these connections of these countries are and which countries are providing weaponry to this country and vice versa, and it's just absolutely insane to see that we're in the very beginning stages of a run-up to a major world war, okay? This is the very beginning of this right now, and it's definitely escalating very quickly, and at a moment's notice could go from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds, okay? It just takes one small wrong move to be made by any of these countries, and we could definitely have a world war breaking out. So that's why I wanted to show you that. I thought that was very interesting information that we're seeing Israeli-made infrared missile warning systems on F-16s that are going to Ukraine, excuse me. So let me know what you think down below, guys. That's going to be it for this update, but definitely we know that F-16s are now in Ukraine, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, has confirmed that. So share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions down in the comment section. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.